Have you noticed how life seems to echo itself? The faces change, the addresses change, but the pattern returns. Different job, same ceiling, different partner, same argument, different path, same invisible wall. You keep telling yourself, this time will be different, but somehow the scenery rearranges while the ending remains strangely familiar. This is not a failure of motivation. This is not a lack of vision or discipline. This is what I call the silent loop, a hidden, self-reinforcing system, quietly running your life beneath your awareness. It operates like a background process. You wake up, you think you're choosing freely, but before your thoughts even form, your nervous system has already reacted based on a blueprint written years ago. You think you're manifesting, you think you're deciding, but the loop is faster. It predicts your fears before you can name them. It reenacts your childhood safety strategies. It mimics the emotional rhythm of the people who raised you. And so life repeats, not as punishment, but as programming. You are not the author of your daily reality. You are the operator of a script you didn't write and didn't know was still active. That's why you keep almost succeeding. That's why relationships hit the same emotional dead end. That's why even your healing journey begins to loop. Different workshop, same trigger, different teacher, same collapse. You try to break the pattern with effort, with vision boards, with new beginnings, but you're not dealing with a habit. You're dealing with architecture, and until the structure is seen, it cannot be re-engineered. That's what makes the silent loop so dangerous. It survives through familiarity. It hides inside what feels normal. You've normalized anxiety. You've normalized self-doubt. You've even normalized the pain of almost healed, almost seen, almost free. But what if I told you this isn't fate? What if it's design? A mechanical design, old, inherited, unfinished. And here's the most liberating truth of all. If it's a design, it can be redesigned. The loop is not your enemy. It's your starting point. It's the first signal in a deeper diagnosis. Because nothing you truly want can survive inside a reality blueprint designed for survival, not expansion. So pause here, before you try to shift, before you try to escape. Just observe. Your life is not random. Your reality is not chaos. It is a system, predictable, logical, and upgradable. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? The question is, who built this blueprint, and why am I still obeying it? In the next chapter, we'll begin to answer that. Not with hope, with precision, because you're not here to escape your fate, you're here to engineer it. You've been told your life is a story, a lesson, a test, a divine script written by something higher than you. But what if that belief is the very thing keeping you stuck? Fate is not a punishment. It is not karma in the way you were taught, and it is not a mystical plan floating somewhere above your head. Fate is a system. It is a pattern that repeats itself, not because it is sacred, but because it is stable. It is made of emotional loops, belief scaffolding, and perceptual filters you inherited, absorbed, or unconsciously built over time, not because you're broken, because you're human, and because the unconscious mind doesn't chase purpose, it chases familiarity. Let's dismantle the myth of destiny for a moment. The idea that you're meant to suffer until you learn some cosmic lesson, that you attract pain because your soul hasn't earned joy yet. That trauma is part of some divine initiation. No, that is not awakening. That is superstition wearing a spiritual robe. The truth is colder and more empowering. Your fate is mechanical, not in the sense of cold machinery, but in the sense that it follows rules. It runs predictable behaviors. It stabilizes its own loops. And here's the paradox. That's the best news you'll ever hear, because systems can be re-engineered. Imagine your reality as a living circuit board. Your daily experiences aren't emerging from nowhere. They are outputs based on internal wiring. The way your nervous system responds to threat, the way your emotions assign meaning, the way your attention filters information, the way your identity defends its borders. This is your reality blueprint, not a story written in the stars, but a structure built in childhood, reinforced by repetition, and running on automation. You can call it trauma, you can call it ego, you can call it karma. But underneath the language, it's simply this: a system that protects itself from change, because change once meant danger. This is why affirmations don't land. This is why manifestation becomes exhausting. You are not speaking to the present. You are speaking from inside a locked room, with walls built from beliefs you didn't choose, and doors that only open when you stop trying to escape. Once you see that fate is structure, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you begin asking, "What is this made of? What part of me benefits from this loop staying intact? What belief is being kept safe?" We shift from storytelling to engineering, from praying to rewiring, from guilt to design thinking. The moment you stop seeing life as a divine maze and begin seeing it as a blueprint, fear begins to dissolve, because now you are not helpless, you are not waiting, you are building. The structure can change, the reality can shift, but only when you step out of the myth of fate and into the architecture of consciousness. In the next chapter, we will examine the first support beam of that architecture, the inherited emotional loops passed silently through generations. Not curses, not destiny, just repeated code waiting to be seen. We'll call it what it is, the karma loop. And once we see it clearly, we begin to disarm it, not through belief, but through precision. Not all patterns begin with you. Some of the emotions you carry were never yours to begin with. They are echoes, trapped in the walls of your emotional architecture, passed silently, like hidden code, from those who came before you. This is what I call the karma loop, but not karma as myth or punishment, not karma as divine scorekeeping. This is karma as emotional recursion, a loop of unfinished experiences running silently through generations. Your grandfather's silence, your mother's fear of abandonment, the financial anxiety braided into your father's nervous system, all of it lives as behavioral memory, not in your thoughts, but in your responses. You don't remember the origin, but your body does. That is why you find yourself drawn to relationships that feel familiar. Not because they are safe, but because they match your emotional blueprint. That's why you sabotage money right before it stabilizes. Why you feel guilt when you begin to outgrow your family's struggle. Why joy feels dangerous. Why success feels temporary. Why healing always seems just out of reach. It's not a curse. It's a script. Unfinished, unprocessed, unreleased. Think of it like old software still running on startup. You didn't install it, but it's there, and it defines how your system behaves under pressure. This is how generational karma works, not through divine judgment, but through emotional mimicry. Children don't listen to their parents, they download them, and what is not spoken becomes encoded. A mother's panic becomes your hypervigilance. A father's failure becomes your hidden ceiling. A lineage of suppression becomes your guilt around expression. The karma loop is not yours to feel ashamed of. It is simply yours to observe, to trace, and then to release. You are not here to carry it forward. You are here to complete the loop by refusing to react the same way again. That is how you break the pattern, not by fighting it, but by becoming conscious of it. In real time, you must learn to witness the echo without becoming the voice, to feel the old fear without obeying it, to notice the inherited reflex without acting from it. This is how fate begins to bend, not through effort, but through awareness. The karma loop weakens each time you make a new choice inside an old feeling, each time you pause, each time you breathe into discomfort instead of solving it, each time you hold space for emotion without needing to identify with it. You are re-engineering the architecture, not just for you, but for everyone who came before you. And this is the first structural column of your reality blueprint. Not mystical, not moral, just mechanical. It's not who you are, it's what was installed before you were conscious. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the second column, the hidden gravitational force that holds your life in place, even when your mind tries to move forward. We call it the energetic anchor, and once you see how it works, you'll understand why most change fails before it begins. You've been told to think positive, to visualize success, to repeat affirmations until your voice shakes the universe. But what if your life isn't responding to your desires because it's obeying something deeper? This is the second structural column holding your reality in place. I call it the energetic anchor, an unconscious safety mechanism designed not to make you happy, but to keep you from changing. At the surface, you want transformation, you want abundance, love, expression, expansion. But underneath that surface lives a silent signal. If I change too much, I won't be safe. This anchor is not your enemy, it's a survival protocol. It formed at the intersection of pain and meaning. Maybe it began in childhood, when being small made you invisible, and invisible felt safer. Maybe it formed in heartbreak, when love equaled abandonment, or in failure, when trying harder only brought shame. And so quietly, a contract was signed. Stay small and stay safe. Don't speak too loudly. Don't love too deeply. Don't rise too high. You'll only fall harder. You didn't write this contract with your conscious mind. Your body wrote it. Your nervous system sealed it. And now, it acts as an energetic GPS, pulling you back whenever you get too close to the unknown. This is why manifestation fails, not because the vision was unclear, but because the anchor was heavier than your willpower. Desire is not enough. Affirmations don't reach the subconscious. They bounce off it like light against lead, because deep within, another program is running. This much joy is not safe. This much visibility will attract danger. This much success will isolate me. The energetic anchor doesn't argue. It simply redirects. Every time you try to rise, it recalibrates you back into the zone of emotional familiarity. So you lose the job, you say the wrong thing, you forget to follow up, you sabotage your breakthrough and call it coincidence. But it's not coincidence. It's protection, not protection from the world, protection from the unknown self. The version of you who has never been that free. Here's the paradox. You don't fear failure. You fear the destabilizing power of success. Because success is unfamiliar, and the subconscious equates unfamiliar with unsafe. So how do we change this? Not with more effort, but with deeper awareness. You must bring precision into the emotional field. Begin to ask, what part of me is being protected by this sabotage? What old pain would be triggered if I finally allowed this joy? And you must listen, not for answers, but for nervous system reactions. Because your beliefs don't live in your thoughts. They live in the space between the thought and the breath, in the muscle that tenses before you speak your truth, in the silence that follows a compliment you don't know how to receive. Once you see the anchor, it begins to dissolve, not through force, but through observation. You do not need to fight it. You need to feel safe enough to let it go. In the next chapter, we will uncover the third and final column, the way time itself is distorted by your mind and how your obsession with the future is actually keeping you from it. We call it the time dilation effect, and it will explain why the more you chase your destiny, the further away it seems to drift. You've been taught to focus on your future self, to visualize the version of you who has already made it, to chase alignment, abundance, success, as if it's somewhere out ahead of you. But what if that chase is the problem? This is the third hidden structure, anchoring your current reality. It is not emotional. It is not inherited. It is temporal. I call it the time dilation effect, a psychological and energetic distortion that stretches the distance between you and the life you want. Not because you're unworthy, but because your mind is misusing time. When you obsess over your future self, you are unconsciously telling your nervous system, I am not that yet. You reinforce separation. You increase the gap. The more you want, the more you confirm you do not have. The more you chase alignment, the more you signal that you are out of sync. The more you visualize freedom, the more your subconscious concludes it's still far away. This isn't magic, it's mechanics. Your awareness is the operating system of your timeline, and attention acts like gravity. Whatever you orbit, you delay. Whatever you embody, you collapse into the now. Here's the paradox. You think you're manifesting a better version of you, but you're actually exiling her into a distant possibility because your identity is still built on not being her yet. This is the silent pain of spiritual hustling. when you spend your entire life chasing the person you're supposed to become without ever becoming her, because your inner architecture doesn't allow her to exist now. You start every morning with a gap, a space between who you are and who you think you need to be. And that gap is time. Time made of pressure, time made of almost, time made of when I finally. But the awakened soul understands. Presence collapses time, not as a poetic idea, but as a literal shift in your emotional architecture. When you stop projecting into the next version of yourself, you create enough stillness to feel what is already real, and only then can change occur, not as a fantasy, but as a recalibration of your current identity. The future is not where transformation lives. It is where unworthiness hides. You think you need more time, but time is the disguise your resistance wears when it doesn't want to surrender. So let's return to the system. The time dilation effect is the third column holding your loop in place. It is what keeps the vision just out of reach. It is what makes you feel like you are always almost there, but never fully home. And here is your way out. Stop chasing, start embodying. Instead of asking, what must I do to become her? Ask, what must I release to realize she's already inside me? In the next chapter, we begin the shift. We move from diagnosis to design. You will learn how to return to 0 point, the stillness beneath all three columns, where your reality blueprint becomes editable. This is the engineering of destiny, and it starts not with effort, but with stillness. There is a moment between the trigger and the reaction, a silent flicker, barely noticeable, where a new timeline can begin. Most people miss it, because most people are not calibrated to stillness. They are calibrated to survival. You've seen the loop, you've mapped the three columns, the inherited karma loop, the subconscious energetic anchor, the psychological time dilation effect. Now it's time to enter the space beneath them all, a still point, not a goal, not a frequency, not a state to chase, but a 0 point field of emotional neutrality. This is the only place from which your reality blueprint can be rewritten. I call this practice 0 point calibration, a 5-minute daily reset of your internal architecture. No affirmations, no visualizations, only awareness, only presence. Because here's the principle: you cannot build a new structure on emotionally charged ground. You must clear the field. And so, here is your practice. Simple, grounded, quiet, like resetting the nervous system of the soul. Let's understand how to do 0 point calibration practice. Step 1. The drop-in. Stop. Let the body be heavy. Let your thoughts move, but don't follow them. Bring your attention to your center, beneath the chest, above the navel. Not to fix, but to observe. You are not improving yourself. You are simply noticing the current emotional charge. No names, no stories, just what's here now. Step 2. The disengage timing. 2 minutes. Now name, silently, any emotion or energy you feel. Tension, fear, restlessness, hope, shame, urgency. Then say this quietly inside: I do not need this energy to be gone. I only need to stop feeding it. You are pulling the plug, not to escape, but to become the operator again. You are witnessing the old pattern without becoming it. Breathe, feel the intensity, and allow it to stay, without resistance. This non-reactivity is the neutral field. This is 0. Step 3. The reset line. Man is timing 2 minutes. Now place one hand gently over your heart or your gut, whichever feels heavier, and speak this silently or softly, like a line of code being written. I allow what was. I witness what is. I become what aligns. Stay in the breath. Not deep, not forced, just natural, just presence. You are no longer fixing yourself. You are no longer chasing alignment. You are re-entering emotional neutrality, the baseline where no program is running. Do this every day for 7 days, not as a ritual, but as a recalibration. Because when you become emotionally neutral, the karma loop has nothing to pull from. The energetic anchor has no threat to protect against, and the future no longer feels far away, because you're no longer trying to reach it. You are in design mode. You are at origin. You are back in the seat of creation. In the final chapter, we will step from blueprint to embodiment. You will meet the version of you who already lives the life you want. Not as a fantasy, but as a system upgrade. And you will take the 72-hour destiny pivot test, a real-world challenge to prove that the loop has ended and the new architecture has begun. Now that the blueprint has been diagnosed and the system cleared, we step into the final phase, embodiment. You've seen the loop, you've found the columns, you've returned to 0-point stillness. Now the question becomes, who is the version of you that lives beyond this architecture? And more importantly, how does that version behave when the loop tries to return? This is not about visualization. It is not about pretending. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about engineering identity from the inside out. Because here's the truth. Your reality is not shaped by your desires. It is shaped by your identity operating system and the automatic responses it runs under stress. So we do not build a new life by dreaming of it. We build it by reverse engineering the personality of the one who already lives it. Ask yourself, what does she tolerate? What does he no longer explain? How does she speak when she's not performing? How does he move through conflict without collapsing? This is your parallel self, not someone far away, but someone already encoded within you. A dormant configuration, waiting for the system update. This version of you doesn't try to become aligned. They simply don't engage with the settings that cause the old loop to run. They don't resist the fear. They don't fight the shame. They don't over-explain their existence. They have exited the loop by refusing to be the one who needs it. And now you will meet this version, not through thought, but through action. You will do something no spiritual technique can simulate. Override the old code in real time. The 72-hour destiny pivot test. Here is your final challenge, a quiet experiment in conscious living. No one will see it. No one will cheer for you. That's what makes it powerful. For the next 72 hours, 1. Choose 3 low vibration triggers. Identify 3 common emotional triggers that activate your old identity. It could be criticism. It could be being ignored. It could be money, anxiety. Pick the ones that loop you. 2. Track the first reaction. When the trigger shows up, do nothing. Just pause. Notice the very first reflex your body tries to run. The need to defend, prove, chase, shut down. 3. Override it now. Instead of acting from that reflex, respond from your parallel self. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just differently. Maybe you say less. Maybe you say nothing. Maybe you soften your shoulders instead of hardening your words. This single pivot, this one micro interruption, is the sign that the loop is no longer in control. It won't feel like fireworks. It will feel like silence, and that's how you'll know it worked. This is the test of embodiment. Not how spiritual you feel, but how differently you move inside old storms. You are no longer reacting from a wounded template. You are responding from design, from clarity, from choice. The karma loop may still echo. The anchor may try to pull you. The future may still whisper promises. But you are no longer orbiting those systems. You are observing them and choosing anyway. This is the end of the loop, not because the world changed, but because the version of you who needed that world has been retired. You were never broken. You were simply running an old architecture, and now you know how to rewrite it. Quietly, precisely, consciously. The blueprint has changed, and so must your reality. Let that settle. Let it breathe. And when you're ready, live it forward.